In this video, I'm going to show you a simple trading strategy that actually works and can be automated 100%. Hey, my name's Tommy, and on this channel, I share tips and tricks to help you with your trading and teach how to automate your trading strategies. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, so please do your own research and read the full disclaimer in the description of this video. All right, so I've had several people in the Zyerman Discord group ask me to put together a video showing multiple Zyerman indicators linked together and completely automated 100% in a trading strategy. So what I decided to do was put together a simple strategy using the Trend Stability Expo indicator. Actually, there's two of those on the screen. There's one here on the top and there's one on the bottom. They're both the exact same indicator with just different settings. And by the way, if you're not familiar with Zyerman, they provide premium indicators for TradingView. They're excellent indicators, well worth the money. I use them every day in my trading. So I'll put a link in the description of this video if you want to learn more about them. So what we have here is we have a long-term trend on the top, Trend Stability Expo, and then a short-term trend on the bottom. If you look at the settings here, this one's set to long-term. The underlying trend is set to 2.7 and the oscillator length set to 14. On the indicator below, it is set to short-term with underlying trend of 1.25 and an oscillator trend length of 1. And depending on what you're trading, you're going to want to play around with those numbers a little bit to find the sweet spot. I'm trading Bitcoin on the 1 hour chart right now, so this is what I'm using here. And if we head to the upper left over here, I also have the Trend and Contrarian Expo indicator. And I turned off most of the settings in here. The only thing that I turned on was the Show Take Profit sensitivity 4, but I have this checked. And what that does is that puts all of these green and red take profit points all throughout the chart. And lastly, if you go up to the top left, you'll see that I have this ATR indicator. That is a free indicator. It's not a Zyerman indicator. And if you go to indicators, you can just type in ATR, and it is the ATR stop loss finder by Verified or Verifid. And for the ATR settings, I'm using a 0.5 multiplier, and I turned off the ATR short stop loss and only have the long stop loss turned on, since this will be a long only strategy. So the way that this works is we're going to be using the long-term Trend Stability Expo indicator to tell us whether or not we are in an overall uptrend or an overall downtrend. And we know this because if the line is below the 50, then we are in an overall downtrend. And if this line is above the 50, we are in an overall uptrend. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use this as what we call a group switch. So when this line crosses above the 50, it is going to switch on, and when it crosses below the 50, it's going to switch off. So when it's on, our bot's going to be taking trades, and when it's switched off, our bot will stop taking trades. So when the line is above the 50 and our bot is open to taking trades, the rule is that we're going to be getting in on the pullbacks, and we're going to identify those pullbacks using the short-term Trend Stability Expo. So the line is above the 50 here, and what we're going to look at is this line crossing under the 50, and then when it prints this green dot after it crosses under the 50, that is when we are going to jump into a trade. On the candle close of that green dot, which is right here, we are going to enter the trade. And for our stop loss, we are going to be using the ATR stop under the swing low. And so this is going to be set in this particular case, like right about there. We're going to enter on every one of those as long as that line is above the 50. So here we drop back below again and print a green dot. So then we would enter again right there. And our stop is going to go at the ATR line under the swing low, which in this case is right here. And we're counting the swing low within the last 10 candles. So if you count 10 candles back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, this ends up being the swing low within the last 10 candles. When you come up to a green X, what we're going to do is we are going to take 50% off the table. And every time we run into a green X, we are going to take another 50% off. So in this case, 50% would still be riding, and we would take another 50% off right there, and we're just going to repeat that process until we get stopped out. An important thing to note is that every time you add a new position and it sets the stop to the bottom of that ATR line, that stop not only ends up being a stop for that position, but also everything that came before it. So as you continue to add positions, all of these just keep building, and you can see how they all build up until eventually everything just gets stopped out. But all of these over here on the left, they just keep moving up along with that, more like a trailing stop. And now we get to the fun part. Now we get to start talking about automation and how we're going to take all of these rules that we put together and how we're going to automate them. So I went ahead and I wrote out all of the conditions that we talked about. And the reason why you do this is because before you automate any strategy, the very first thing that you have to do is lay out very clear buy conditions and very clear sell conditions. And you have to decide which conditions do you want to group together within a specific time window and which conditions don't need a time window. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to create a separate alert for every one of these conditions. And because that's how the bot works. It takes in all of these alerts, and based off of the time windows and everything that you're telling it, it's going to go ahead and automate buys and sells on the exchange based off of those rules that you set. So for example, for our buy conditions, we're going to set what we call a group on switch, which is this long-term trend line that goes above the 50. When it's above the 50, we want to be able to take trades, and that's why we're calling that as an on switch. When it goes back under the 50, we're going to look at that as an off switch. So we need a separate alert for the off switch. For the short-term trend line that closes under the 50, so that's all of these pullbacks right here, so we need a separate alert for that. For the green dot that prints, we need a separate alert for that. And what we're going to do is we're going to take alert number 2 and alert number 3, and we're going to group those together and say that both of those need to occur within a certain time window. And if you look at all of these, it looks like they both occur within, looks like 3 candles of each other, so 3 or 4 candles of each other. So we go ahead and set a time window of 4 hours. Now the switches, they don't need a time window because they're not subject to time constraints. Once you turn it on, it remains on until you turn it off. But the other group alerts, they have to be alerted within whatever time frame that you specify. So let's say that you have alert number 2 come into the bot, but number 3 comes in, say 5 hours later. In that case, it's just going to ignore number 2 and it's going to start over. So that's kind of how that works, is you just have to decide which alerts need to be grouped together and which doesn't need to be grouped together. As far as the sell conditions go, we're not going to use any group alerts for the sell conditions because each one of these is kind of its own thing. So, we want to sell 100% if the ATR stop gets hit, and we want to sell 50% anytime a green X prints and that candle closes. And so each of those are separate alerts. They don't have to happen within any sort of time frame or anything. Like, as soon as they happen, we want to sell. All you need to do is think about what are your conditions, and whatever those conditions are, you need a separate alert for every single one. Now there is one special alert that we do have to create before we create any of the other alerts, and that is the alert for the ATR stop, because we're going to use what we call a value tracker for that. So if you don't know what a value tracker is, I have a separate video that explains what value trackers are. I'll put a link up in the corner of this video. But essentially what it is it's just an alert that tracks a value over a period of time. So with our rule, we want to sell when the price hits the ATR line under the swing low. So what we need to do is track the ATR value over a period of time so that we can pick out what the low value is. And then when we go to set our stop, we're going to take the low of that value tracker. It's actually really easy. All right, so let's go into TOMMYBOTS and let's first create that value tracker alert for our ATR stop. So here I am on the dashboard. I'm going to click on value tracker on the left, and you need to give it 3 things. You need to give it an ID, the number of candles that you want to track, and then the trading view plot variable that represents the line on the chart. And if you don't know how to get the plot variable, I made a separate video on that, so go back and watch the video on value trackers. But let's go ahead and give it a name. So I'll call this BTC 1 hour ATR. And we want to track the last 10 candles. So I'll say 10 there. And I know that this is plot 1 for the plot variable, but again, go back and watch the video on value trackers. And you just hit the generate code button, click on copy, go back to trading view, and we're going to go to our ATR indicator, click on the 3 dots on the right, click add alert, make sure your webhook URL to your bot is in here. This is just a demo, so it doesn't matter if you see this one, but don't share your webhook URL with anybody. What we're going to do is we're going to say when this is greater than the value 0, which is, it basically means it's going to be true all the time. It's going to be true on every candle close. We want this alert to fire because we want to send the value of the ATR line over to the bot on every single candle. So we're going to go and say on the candle close, and we're going to go ahead and call this sell ATR stop value tracker, and triple click to select the message, delete it, and paste in the value tracker code that we copied from TOMMYBOTS, and click create. Okay, so now that our value tracker is created and running in the background, now we can go ahead and create the rest of our alerts. So we'll start with our buy conditions, and we'll start with the on switch. So with the on switch, we are looking at the trend stability indicator, the long-term version, and we're going to click on add alert. And we want to alert when the positive trend crosses over the 50. So we're going to go ahead and select that option. And this is going to be on the bar close. And you can name your alerts whatever you like, but what I like to do is I like to name them with a bot name and then list out the conditions. So this is going to be condition 1 of 3 total. And then what we'll do is we'll head over to TOMMYBOTS, and we're going to go to the code generator. This is going to be buy Bitcoin USD. We'll go ahead and do a limit order, and for the amount, we'll go ahead and just use 2.5%. We're not going to add actually, yes, we are going to add a stop. We're going to use our value tracker to set our stop at our ATR line under the swing low. So here, we'll go ahead and do a market order, use a value tracker, and we want to paste in the same value tracker ID that we used to create our value tracker. So that's BTC 1 hour ATR. We want to take the low value, but you could take the high value, you could take the average, it's totally up to you. In this case, for this strategy, we're going to take the low. And when it hits our stop, we want to sell 100%. So we'll keep that at 100%. We won't add a take profit here. Yes, this is part of a group alert. And so we have to give the group a name or an ID. So we'll go ahead and call this DemoBot buy. We'll just call it DemoBot buy. And this is going to be alert number 1 of a total of 3 conditions. And this is our on switch. So I'm going to go ahead and choose on. When you choose on, you don't have to put in a group window. It's automatically going to put switch on in your group window. And I'm going to click next and then generate code. And it's going to spit out this code right here with a little copy button. Just click the copy button, head back over to trading view, triple click to select all, delete it, and paste in the code. And then click create. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and create the off switch. And to do that, we'll head back over to TOMMYBOTS, and we'll just click back, and we'll change on switch to off switch. And we're not going to change the alert number or anything, because anytime you use a switch, you want to use the same exact alert number for your on as you do your off. And you can have as many switches in your group as you want. Just make sure that for each switch, you use the same alert number. And so I'm going to click next and generate code again. And it changed this little piece of code right there that tells it to switch it off for this particular alert. So I'm going to click copy, head back to trading view, and this time when I add the alert on the long-term trend stability indicator, we are going to select negative trend crossing under the 50 instead of crossing above the 50. And this one's going to be on the bar close as well. And for the name, we will call it condition 1 of 3 off. And triple click to select all and paste in your code. So now we will create the alert for condition number 2. So that's when the short-term trend line is closing under the 50. So we'll go down to the short-term trend stability indicator, add an alert, and this will be the negative trend crossing under the 50. And this will be on the bar close. And for the name, we'll call it TOMMYBOTS. And we'll change this to condition 2 of 3. And then we'll head back over to TOMMYBOTS, click the previous button, change the alert number to a 2. And this is going to be a standard alert. This one is not a switch. And when you do that, you have to give it a time window. And we decided that we were going to use 4 hours. So I'll just type in 4 hours, click next, and generate code. And click the copy button, go back to trading view, triple click to select all, and paste it in. Click create. Now for our last buy condition, that is this green dot down here. And so we will go down to the short-term trend stability indicator. We're going to add an alert on there. And this one is the option that says turns toward positive trend alert. So that's when it prints the green dot. So we're going to select that. And this will also be on the bar close. And the name, we will call this condition 3 of 3. And head back to TOMMYBOTS, click previous, and we're going to change the alert number to 3. So now this is 3 of 3. Again, standard alert, all the same settings for everything else. Click next and generate code. Click the copy button, head back to trading view, and paste it in. And now all of our buy conditions are set. So the last thing that we have to do is create the alert condition for the take profit points, which are these green X's. And so that's on the trend in contrarian expo indicator. So we're going to click those 3 dots, click on add alert, and it is this one at the top called exit long. So that's also going to be on the bar close. And for the name, we'll go ahead and call this, it's not buy, it's going to be sell, TOMMYBOTS sell condition 1 of 1. And then we'll go back to TOMMYBOTS and we'll go all the way back to order type. We're going to change this to sell. Actually, we're going to change this to cancel, then sell. So it'll cancel any previous open orders and replace them with this one. So BTC USD, yeah, we'll do a limit order. Click next. Instead of selling 100%, we're going to sell half. So change that to 50. We're not going to add a stop. Turn that off. No take profit. This is not a group alert. Turn that off. Next, generate code. And then here's our code for take profit. Go back to trading view and paste it in. And now we are done. From this point on, all of our trading would basically consist of just turning these alerts on or off by clicking the stop button if you want to turn things off, or clicking the start button when you want to start your bot back up. Now, I don't ever recommend just leaving your bot on 100% of the time. Like, there's going to be occasions where market conditions just aren't conducive to your bot. And so in really choppy markets, or in other cases, you might want to just put it on pause and take a break from it. And you can simply go on there and hit that pause button on those alerts to stop it. And you can restart it when the market conditions are back in your favor. And there you have it. That is how you can tie multiple indicators together and automate them using group alerts, start to finish. If you guys have any questions on how this works, or if you'd like to see other strategies automated, please let me know in the comments of this video. And also be sure to like and subscribe. All right, guys, take care.